Firstly, thank you everyone for joining in for this excellent initiative. I must thank my co-chair, Harpreet ji, for taking this initiative. And obviously PCC for providing all of us this wonderful platform, for getting all our Punjabis together. Just a quick intro, we all know what the Punjabi Chambers of Commerce stand for, an opportunity for all within the community to come together and contribute constructively towards this initiative. In within a very short span, PCCA is global, and communities from across US, Canada, Europe, and India are joining together and contributing positively. Mumbai chapter, I'm one of the co-chairs, Harvinder Butharu, along with Harpreet ji. And thank you for getting Colonel Singh sir and Amit ji together on this wonderful topic, on the burning topic that we have today.
Right.
So today's moderator, Harpreet ji, I'll hand over to her to take this initiative, to take this discussion forth and inspire and educate all of us who are joining this for this discussion.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Harvinder. Good evening, everyone who has joined us for this webinar today evening. The topic today is very relevant for each one of us, whether we are an educator, a professional, an entrepreneur, or just a simple homemaker. To help us decode this WhatsApp latest privacy policy, which probably is hampering all our brains and chewing up all our conversations that we're having, I have two very eminent guests with me, Colonel Inderjeet and Mr. Amit Dubey. Just to give you a little background about Colonel Inderjeet Singh, he's Chief Cyber Security Officer with Vara Technology Private Limited. He has been an ex-army officer and is, of course, a decorated one. He has been working extensively on the disruptive technologies in the cybersecurity space. He has 3 decades of experience across wide spectrum of areas, spanning cybersecurity, risk management, cyber forensics, cyber warfare. Enough of it, I think he is the right person today to address this topic. Along with him, I have Amit Dubey. He is a national security expert. He's a crime investigator, so probably he'll let us the inside view of a lot of questions that I have for him as well. He is doing presently the hidden files on Red FM. So anyone who's a radio buff can actually log into the radio and listen to his hidden files. He is an ex-IITian like Colonel Saab, and of course he is also a decorated cybersecurity expert with us. So not taking too much of your time, I have stolen this from Colonel Inderjeet. All credits to him for this particular picture. And this we have all been seeing across boards in our houses, every time we are talking about this. So having said that, and now that the tone is set, before I start, any of the attendees here who has any questions, I'll request you guys to put your questions in the chat box, and I would be just taking a peep into it from time to time and asking my panelists here to answer those questions. So let's decode. So I am going to, not share my screen anymore. Just give me a second. So, all right. Colonel Inderjeet, the first question to you. I want you to tell us what is this new policy all about, because we are naive about it. And what is the problem with it? Why is talking about it?
Right. Just to give you a perspective, I think let me share it. I think make it more interactive that way rather than
Yes.
talking. I'll just share my screen. Right?
Yes.
So I made a couple of slides. I think that will be interesting, and it can be some takeaways which you're always looking for. And thanks the Punjabi Society. It's really a pleasure to be, though I'm a Punjabi, but unfortunately I'm not there. But would always be part of all the communities to drive and take the Punjabis forward. So that's really the best part which I see. So thanks on this platform, and thanks Ravinder also, and really wonderful. And the WhatsApp has created some kind of a tremors right across, and what it has been all under the wrap till now, all these years, what we've been seeing of the data privacy, the data stealing, and we aware of that. The Facebook changing its policies, they're copying the data. Then Google also does the same thing, nothing new, right? Surprisingly, in the month of in January itself, first week, somewhere I got a mail from Google. That's what my Google tracks are all about. It told me about how many kilometers I flew, how many kilometers I walked, how many kilometers I ran, how many kilometers I, was driving, everything about me, right? And this is all being under wrap. And Facebook, we all know that they've been using it for the ads. And interestingly, there's a bigger chapter to discuss is how the ads are being sold, right? They've been traded, and there's a live trading, there's a live auction of the people's data which takes place when it happens. And it was no surprise because WhatsApp was kind of a baby which was being hidden right from its days of inception, saying that all the data are private and personal and not being shared. So, but the tremors were being felt always, right? And if you take back the leads of the tremors, there was a case last year in US, which was filed by some of the guys asking why Google signed with WhatsApp for the data sharing. What's the data you want to share, right? Unfortunately, that complete thing has got under the wrap again because they're all big companies, they're trillion-dollar companies. How do we really knock them on their knuckles? Very difficult. But there's a MOU which has been signed between Google and the WhatsApp for the data sharing, right? And if these are the kind of the telltale signs, that means there's much more to the complete thing of the WhatsApp and what privacy policy they brought in. And this was on the anvil. To tell you very frankly, this was the anvil because they were not earning any revenue so far. It's the only arm of Facebook not earning revenue. So the three kind of datas or the main changes which are coming in the WhatsApp 2021, how the WhatsApp processes your data, that's where the main change which is going to be there. It's not going to be the same anymore. And we will develop on this particular aspect of it as we go further. And the business use of the Facebook services, because you see now the Facebook is using WhatsApp very differently. And the clarification when they have given it is in a very different manner. So how it's going to use the Facebook business customers to use the Facebook services to store and manage the WhatsApp chats. Say, for example, if any of one has got a the WhatsApp business, that means all of the people who are connected to him in the group, right? Their data is all compromised. So if you read between line, you come to know what's happening. That's why, there's so much of furore, there's so much of noise about it. Right? And how the WhatsApp will integrate with other Facebook products. The reason for this is very simple. Facebook sells all the ads. And like I told you, there's more to it. If you know, last year, February, they smartly and very quietly updated a Facebook policy of the privacy. Because actually, if you read about and talk about the WhatsApp, it's not going to be just WhatsApp. We're going to be talking about there's whole bunch of other things which are going to happen, right? Now, Facebook changed its policy of your app usage, right? And it says that even if you're not using your application, we're going to take your data. And what are they going to use the data for? It's simple. We want to know your offline activities. And based on the offline activity, we actually create a complete profile of a person to give the advertisements, the songs, the videos, right? And all the ads that they're doing. So, and even if you still go to your Facebook app, I don't know if you have noticed, go to the privacy setting and you will find the data which you're giving it to the other applications. And it's also taking out the data of which application which you're using, right? Which is not supposed to be. So only thing which was left out was the WhatsApp, and they did this. And that's why this noise all about. So these are the kind of changes which we are actually going to be seeing in times to come. And I will only say one slide here, one pic, which is very interesting. You're no more a customer, you're a product on the WhatsApp as well. So nothing is hidden. It's only this barcode. The value of the barcode is going to change with amount of data which you're going to pump in and amount of data which you want to share with all those guys.
So also a question which comes to my mind is it mandatory that I or anyone has to accept it? And
so it's a very simple solution they have given. It's my way or highway. Either you accept it or you delete it.
Oh.
So that is the situation we are in. It's a very precarious situation altogether.
Yeah.
So if you don't accept it, 8th of Feb, your thing goes off. Now they are shifted to May 15th. There's nothing is going to change May 15th. It's only that we're not going to do it right now. It's going to be just another 2-3 months.
Yeah.
So but what is going to happen in that also? Even if you delete that account, you say you don't want a WhatsApp anymore. Your data, what you're there, is always going to be live. Okay, it's only your account you're not able to access. Even in the case of the Facebook, that happens. Your data remains in the backend, and that data can be manipulated anytime and can be played against you anytime.
Oh, so I have a question for Amit because he's into the cyber part of it, and he works very closely with police. So Amit, my next question to you is, Inderjeet said that our data is live, and even if I delete my account, it can be retrieved back. So am I saying that the data is on third party platform, which is accessed by them, and I have no control over it?
Yeah, it's not only third party platforms, but fourth party, fifth party, and then it keeps on sharing.
If you can just expand that for us.
Yes. So once it is there, it will be shared with so many parties eventually that nobody can ensure that it cannot be misused. So that is something which always creates a risk. And what is this data and how this data is misused? I'll just give you because Colonel Saab has just mentioned about digital footprinting. And just a second. So I'll just show you something on my screen, and then you will understand the value of your data.
Yeah.
Sharing the screen, if you can see it, please confirm. I'm just opening my browser, and if I send you a web link, a website, how much information that website can capture from you when you are not giving anything to that website, you are not providing any input, you are not sharing any details, you are just opening that website, and how much information I can read about you. You can just go through this link. You can try it on your own browser as well. So it creates a web key. I'll tell you about this web key. Location, of course. So your exact IP address and geolocation, your operating system, your browser versions and all, then what all the hardware you are using, your CPUs and battery backup, so it is 100% charge and all. Then do you have any prevention mechanism on all? Which connections are you using? This is my exact IP, this is my speed, and I can definitely miss it with whether I have Tor browser or not in my system. Then it can also tell me how many social media account I have already logged in. I'm logged into Google, Facebook, or a blogging site. So just by opening a URL, you would know so many details, and then keeps on like capturing these details. Clickjacking, whether I'm vulnerable to a very, very well-known vulnerability, which is called clickjacking, through which the website can fetch more details about my activities from my browser. And that is, so here it says like Google Plus fixed the bug, but Facebook clickjacking seems to work again. So Facebook is able to do that activity with me. Autofill phishing, I'm vulnerable to that or not. Then gyroscope, if I'm using mobile phone, then what is my...
So that brings me to another level of excitement, that Facebook and Instagram, they're connected. Yeah. So do you
Yeah.
think everything gets sucked out now? WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram, three of them are together. Do you think all my data, all my pictures, everything gets sucked out?
Actually, yes. So we need to understand about this from the data privacy perspective, because when Instagram was created, it has a different data privacy policy. When Facebook was created, it had a different privacy policy, and WhatsApp, definitely our expectation from WhatsApp is different. But when they integrate these all platforms together, and this data is shared across platforms, even if it is metadata, that creates lots of complications, because then the same privacy policy will not be applicable, because anyway they are exchanging this data between these two applications. So Facebook and Instagram, their chat messengers are already integrated. You can send messages from your Instagram account to someone on his or her Facebook account, and or vice versa. Right now WhatsApp is not integrated, but they have a plan. They have a plan to integrate WhatsApp with the Facebook messengers as well, because they are anyway integrating it with different business chat messaging apps. So the data will go across these platforms, and to ensure the same data privacy policy when this integration will happen is a challenge. This creates risk.
So are you saying that even I will be looking at advertisements on my WhatsApp like I do it on my Facebook or any other
advertisement? Having advertisement is the simplest thing. Actually, it will not happen. They will not show you the advertisement.
Okay.
And you can take this example that Google does not show you any advertisement per se in most of these applications, but they are the biggest earner through you. They earn through your data.
So are you trying to say that WhatsApp is going to earn through me?
Yes. So WhatsApp, when they launched in 2009 and acquired in 2013, they were valued $19.3 billion. And they were not showing you any advertisement. They were not charging any money from you. Their entire services were free. Now think about it. Like if they were valued $19.3 billion within 3 years, how could they valued so much? What was the reason of this valuation?
Yeah.
And that is something which now, because I'm telling you of this valuation 7 years back, now today, even WeChat, similar messaging app, it is valued $500 billion. They are also offering free chat messaging service. TikTok, they are valued $100 billion. So you need to understand the valuation of these companies, because they don't want to show you advertisement. They don't want to actually give you, charge you directly from you, but rather they want to capture more and more data. And then profiling you and then making money through it.
Right. So my next question to Colonel Saab, is this policy only for India or it's going global?
So when you talk of the policy perspective, they have different set of or the barometers for different countries. When it comes to Europe, their implementation is different because they are guided by the GDPR, and they are very scared of GDPR. And this is what they're trying to exploit. And if you have been able to read through the lines of the IT minister, you know, like we're in the process of signing the data privacy law. And this policy coming into India just before the data privacy law is a kind of a, you know, raising the eyebrows. So WhatsApp very well knows that it's got 400 million, you know, users who are there, and to churn the data and take the data out before the data privacy law comes in, is the best thing to do. So they're trying to exploit these kind of situations altogether. And if you read through the questionnaire which has been given by the minister, by the IT ministry, it's very clear that they're trying. This policy had something in mind at the back end, where they're trying to circumvent before the data privacy law comes in. And of course, as regards the EU is concerned, when I said they've been had in 2016, they've been charged, 2017, they've been fined, they have paid almost $110 million they paid, right? And the kind of rules which they're following in Europe, the regulators are very smart, the regulators are very tight there. That's why the implementation is different in Europe as compared to India.
So there is a discrimination that is happening.
Yeah,
the way they are managing their bigger customer countries, right?
Right. That's right.
All right. So again, my next question is to Amit. Amit, now that the chats and the messages we just understood that even if you delete your account or you don't sign up the agreement, the data remains live. Now, if there is something that needs to be retrieved by the police or something like that has happened, so is it possible for police to retrieve the past data into crimes and things like that?
I think from data perspective, it is not that straightforward and it is not that easy, and it is to some extent is not possible. Because right now, whatever the current policy says, they are not keeping your data on their servers. It is still end-to-end encrypted. The level of security is same. So they are not interested in your chat messaging, text, or your videos or images, and what are you sharing and to whom you are talking. No, that is not the reason of this privacy policy. They are not actually taking that data. So you are safe to that extent, and because it is peer-to-peer encrypted, probably no law enforcement agencies can get it once you are out of that platform. It was not shared as well previously, and I have been requesting such kind of even metadata getting from WhatsApp is a challenge. They don't share it with any law enforcement agency so easily unless until we have a proper reason and on orders and probably some push also from the government. Then only they normally provide these kind of details. So because earlier they were not even accepting, like they have these kind of details which they are now accepting because of this privacy policy. I'm sure they were capturing this data earlier as well, but now because they want to use it for their own benefit, for their own revenue, so that's why they need this acceptance from us to avoid any later litigation or challenges. But then they were not sharing any such kind of details earlier. Now they have accepted that they will share metadata with law enforcement agencies on request. The metadata is the location of a person, then the profile picture of a person, and also the activities which they are capturing through WhatsApp, like the other application activities, the alerts that you receive. So all those kind of things, because once it will be integrated with business applications, you will start receiving lots of alerts as well, just like you receive on SMS. And those kind of things would still come under metadata.
So that leads to another question that, we are all connected globally. There is like PCC, as a matter of fact, we are global. So we are all connected on WhatsApp. Now, Europe has another policy, US has another policy, India has another policy. So how does this all work, and what's the level of safety that we should be looking forward to? And if supposing...
Very, very interesting question.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah. So Amit, I'll leave it to you, and then possibly Colonel Saab can intervene.
Yeah, because Colonel Saab, would you like to start? Yeah.
No, please take it on. Please. Sure.
Yeah, so I just wanted to tell you, because this policy challenge is not there only for WhatsApp, but we have actually realized these kind of discriminations by many other companies earlier. Twitter is very well-known example, and they do show some biasing, and sometimes their actions are not justified, and that's what we have faced, because there's no strict law in India, or especially in Southeast Asian countries. they have a different way of handling our request. While similar requests, when it comes from European countries, probably they handle it from a different perspective. So this is something which we have observed even with Google and Microsoft and all such players. Those are actually leading this entire internet business market.
Okay.
But the thing which we have actually taken as an initiative from the government side, as Colonel Saab has just mentioned, like PDP bill is one of such initiative. It is under process. Once it will be out and it will be passed in our parliament, then we'll have enough powers, and then we'll have enough penalty clauses as well against these companies if they do not follow these guidelines and recommendations from the government. So that is something which actually bothering them, as he said rightly, and they are really trying to create some proactive plans to avoid these kind of challenges later. So this is the reason these policy changes will keep on coming as soon as we go nearer to this PDP bill approvals, and I think we'll see many such surprises in near future.
Right. Colonel Saab, some
Yeah,
insight.
I think, I'll resonate the same point what Amit has brought in. And, one of the points of the data protection bill is that you should have a copy of the data in India, right? And that's what is the most challenging part for them. And that is what they're trying to do is gather as much data before the bill comes in, right? That's another factor which you have to push, because we were supposed to have this bill somewhere in May 2019, right? And it's got
Right.
now delayed by 2 years backwards. And see the amount of data which has gone, and the amount of people who are there in the net, and the amount of things now they have of ours. And this is what they're trying to do. And if you look at the business policy or the strategy of all these companies, the biggies, if I say, Google, it wants to penetrate into the rural India, right? And that is where it wants to gather the maximum data about people who are on WhatsApp, Facebook, and other things. Facebook itself wants to enter, we seeing Kirana stores and other things, and also they want to enter the rural part of India through their e-marketing places and WhatsApp business. That's the business model. They want maximum amount of data, and without that data, they don't really survive, right? Because if they're $1 trillion, it's our, we are all partners to that particular company, because that's our data that they're selling it out, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of policies and discrimination as regards to India is concerned. What Amit told, yes, they have a very different policy. They try to show us a stick, and they get a stick in EU. That's the kind of situation is right now. If you have a PDP bill coming in, a data protection policy bill coming in, I think we'll be on a very strong wicket as regards the kind of data, what they're taking it and they're using it. And the points with the IT ministry gave it, it was very pertinent. One point which it said that you have all the right to be in India, but the sovereignty of India and the data of Indians is the utmost important. You cannot play around with that. And that's the point which has to be really talked about, told to these companies that you may do whatever you want to do, but you cannot play around with Indian data.
That's true. Just going back to the legality part of it again. Now, the administrators of the group, or the admins of the groups that we have, on WhatsApp, they're very particular in laying down the rules, regulations, and that has come out very strictly. So my question to you, Amit, is that how will this affect administrative responsibilities on the WhatsApp group for the admin?
Actually, that will not be affected, because these kind of things do come from the kind of group we create and what sort of information we are going to exchange in that group. So the guidelines would be according to that and cannot be generic. But the data that is sourced from WhatsApp, it is a generic information. It is not specific to any group, and they don't know like what kind of group is it and what sort of communication they are doing. And that is something which will still be generic, not be any change.
Yeah, because I am aware of certain groups that are related to schools, colleges, armed forces, ex-servicemen, or doctors, engineers. So that's why this question came out. But keeping the tone of this webinar alive, my next question is, what is the difference between the Signal which has come about and the Telegram people are shifting on to, and today I came across another one which is called Highlight. So how are they all different from WhatsApp? So maybe Inderjeet, you could help us understand this.
So just to give you a difference of all three, firstly, the encryption part, we will take it because everybody's more worried about the security aspect of it and the privacy aspect of it. So when it comes to Signal, it's got one of the best in terms of the encryption algorithms which are concerned, right? They are kind of peer-to-peer, number one. Secondly, the messages which are there, they're purging after some time. They have a kind of a methodology where the message delete, though WhatsApp also has got that, but they've got a very firm on the data. And they're not taking the information like what WhatsApp is taking it, right? It's bare-bone information which is actually being shared with them. There is no information for the advertisements which is actually going in for the Signals part of it. And this is, to give you a perspective, this was started by one of the co-founders of WhatsApp itself, and he's the one who started, and it's a non-profit organization. And that's why, unfortunately, when the number of people who went on to the Signal servers were getting down, right? So that's the kind of Signal what we have. It's a pretty good as a platform number kind of thing. Telegram.
So you recommend that?
So I will come to cut the story short. I will cut the story short. If you are, if you are a person with very confidential information, you need to talk, use Signal. If you want to have a larger groups and want to have a communication with them with the archival data, go to the Telegram, right? So that's another platform which is very good on those kind of very groups, data sharing. They give you end-to-end encryption. If you want to have a very secretive chat, you can do that. So it's another one because they also take very less amount of data of yours. And third is the number which is the WhatsApp, which takes the maximum amount of data, right? And they're openly committing that we are going to use their data. So that is how all three are right now.
So Amit, do you apprehend or do you think that there would be many platforms like these that would be coming in, because all these software and the app developers are sitting back at home, and probably it could be a business venture for them?
Actually, there are already many platforms. There are already many options, but then not each and every platform get that sort of success which Telegram, Signal, and WhatsApp has actually enjoyed. WhatsApp was the first one pioneered, and that's why they were actually, they had a exponential growth initially, and then they got this competition very late. I think Signal was launched in 2017, 18 sometime, or then Telegram. So these competitors are actually, they started very late. So WhatsApp has some leverage, and they have actually enjoyed that. Now today, as Colonel Saab has said rightly, because Signal is open source, Signal is developed through a community. It has its own limitations and it has some benefits as well. They are not taking data from you, but then they will have challenges in updating their software fast. If there's any security issue, probably they cannot release a patch so quickly like WhatsApp or Telegram can do, because they have a full-fledged team for that. Then Telegram has is issue like when we share any video or image over Telegram, it is not changed. It's not changed in the sense WhatsApp normally reduces the resolution of your video, and they resize that video or images. So sometimes when we want to do some forensics, it is very difficult to reach to the real source of that information. But on Telegram, it is possible because they don't do any change. So any information which is generated, it is passed as it is without making any changes in it. So there are some advantages over Telegram, Signal, and WhatsApp. But if we know all these values, I think we can consciously take a decision, as he, I think, recommended rightly, that if we need to make some private and very personal communication, I think I would prefer Signal. But then Telegram, if suppose I am somebody asks me to record a video and send me quickly, I will not send it on WhatsApp, but rather I prefer Telegram because it will go in high resolution. So you need to select a platform for that, which actually solves the problem.
Yeah, so that brings another question that WhatsApp gives me a privilege of having 8 callers on one video call. So how do you find the other platforms supporting that and the safety aspect of it?
I'll give you one more interesting comparison. WhatsApp initially it had only like you can have WhatsApp only on one device,
Yes.
and then you can access it through web.whatsapp.com through browser, and you can sync your data with your laptop and device. But then recently, WhatsApp has launched their beta version where they are supporting 5 devices parallelly. So you can have same WhatsApp on 5 different devices, and they all will be synced. Now, there is no such limitation on Telegram. You can have any number of devices. You can use Telegram on all of them. The signal is still restricted to one, but then there are such kind of interesting differences. So that we should know. And as you said rightly, you pointed out which feature. I just forgot. Sorry.
Yeah, it was the video calling. 8 people
Video
on
calling,
a call
multiple
together.
people.
Multiple people on the call. So what happens to that data? The calls get recorded?
No, calls will never be recorded, and as per their policy, and because it is still end-to-end encrypted, and the server is just used to route that call across various people. But then I think they may be interested to your behavior. For example, how many video calls do you make, or how many audio calls do you make, may not be interested to whom you are talking to. But then this data itself is very valuable, like whether you do too many video calls or audio calls or group calls or single calls, or you change your location when you are making these calls. When you are at home, how many calls do you make, or when you are at office? So all this is metadata, which
So
gives.
What is interesting is that I was reading about a note from Colonel Shah. How is this linked to the AI and the MI?
Artificial intelligence.
Yeah. So if Inderjeet, you could put some light on that.
See, I think you are. Yeah, please, sir. Sorry, sir.
Yeah, please continue. No.
I think these guys are excited about it. My questions
yeah. Please continue, Amit.
No, sorry, sir. Sorry. you please.
No. Please continue. No.
And then I'll continue after that.
No. We like.
Okay, so I was actually it reminded me something, so that's why I wanted to quickly answer that. Actually, I always like to start my session with a note. It says that I would love to change this world, but they won't give me the source code. So I truly believe that this entire world is a software program, and we all humans are nothing but artificial intelligence plugins. So any AI engine works in a very similar way, like our brain works. We are trained. We are the product of the data that has been fed to us since our birth. So our decision-making capabilities, our liking, our disliking, our biasing, everything depends on that information which is being given to us. And in a very similar way, any AI engine works. Now, this common behavior between any AI software engine or a brain gives me that power that I can manipulate your decision-making capabilities if I can change the data which is being provided to you. Now, that is dangerous. And that is something which I think people are exploiting because of this data which they have already taken from us. Now, they know lots of such human vulnerabilities, like to whom I like, to whom I am attached to, what are my fear, what are my vision, what are my aspirations, biasings, all these psychological things they have already captured through various sources. And that is something which they can use against you. That's what I wanted to share.
Yeah. So the AI has been used very extensively now, and a simple example I will give it to you. The Facebook and the Twitter, though we're talking about WhatsApp, they definitely will have the AI engines right now. Also, they have a natural language processing (NLP). They have the deep learning, which Amitji was saying that how do you understand a particular person? What's the behavior of it? And once you do the deep learning, you are able to generate a complete profile, a virtual profile of a person as to how he's going to behave in due course of time. That is how the complete data is going to be used. And they're only quantifying, the data taken from WhatsApp to Facebook, and now they're shifting on to the Telegram. The Instagram, right? And that is why they are using those kind of advertisements to appease you, or those kind of sites, that business sites, to appease you to click and buy on that Instagram, right? This is how the AI is used in a very big way. Now, when it comes to the law enforcement agencies, how we are using the AI, on these platforms, everything, all words which are being put, they're all either positive words or they're negative words, right? So practically we pick up the sentiments from these words and create a sentiment analysis of that particular complete, maybe a city, maybe a place, maybe a kind of issue. What are people talking about, whether they're positive, whether they're negative? So that's where we use the complete same, the machine learning, deep learning, NLU, and then is the AI component comes in. So it's being very hugely and very vastly being used today in complete of your social media.
So is it somewhere related to even the forward messages that we are sending across in
Yes.
groups, or we
Yes.
receive those? So
Yes.
that has an impact, right?
Everything, every click which you're doing is being monitored.
Okay.
In fact, the Facebook started with a kind of an algorithm which was running on a browser as to how hard you click or which part of the screen which you click. That data was being collected to understand more about you. So that's the kind of data which is going to all the social medias today.
So just a small question again, I'm very inquisitive to know. There are these YouTube links that we share on WhatsApp for, maybe a song or some speech or something. Does that get captured somewhere?
So it's a kind of content which you're, pushing. So it gives you interests. So those are also getting, whether you're political, apolitical, what kind of data which you're doing. So everything is getting
Okay.
monitored.
There is a question in our attendees, amongst our attendees here. The person says that how can we save our data which is already there, which we've already shared? So how do we save that? So if Amit, you could help us with that on WhatsApp. This is
So I think we need to understand this problem from a broader perspective. WhatsApp is not the only application or player who is getting our data. There are on an average 70 plus applications. Those are continuously capturing similar kind of information from our device. And many of these applications are like we never bother to uninstall. Whether it is Truecaller, whether it is even Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or House Party or Ludo. If you know, like Ludo King is a game which captures your voice samples. Is voice samples. Why should we give our voice samples to Ludo King? Now, all these things are already there, and we are worried for the data which WhatsApp is capturing. So there are applications those have captured much more sensitive data from us, and that is already there out. Either it is available with multi-parties or it is on sale on dark web. So all these things are there. So we should not bother about the data which is already there. I think the thing which we can do is to make our security settings, so consciously find out not to install those applications, or even if we need to install it, keep settings like that. Like you can disable all these access to most of these applications. Don't give camera, microphone, phone book, or your memory access to those applications. Those are unnecessarily taking it. And, or if you need to use it temporarily, please do this temporarily and uninstall it. But we need to do it consciously so that in future we can be protected. Otherwise, the data which is already there, it is not with a single party. And if it is not with a single party, it's very difficult to get any sort of assurance that it will be removed.
There is one question, this is particularly from my side, I'm excited about it. Any safety that the teenagers and the young adults need to take while being on WhatsApp that you would recommend for them? Oh, Amit is a bit busy. So, Colonel Saab, you could give a message for these teenagers.
So all the young guys who are there, and I think they're rightly poised right now, not to share any additional data to anyone. Right? We did a mistake, and we are learning from our mistakes, because when the Facebook came in 2008, 2009, we all put in our data to be best visible to others. Unfortunately, that was the time when we were not being taught about these kind of challenges which we face today. And given a chance, I will like to rewind to 2008 and like erase all my data and be there with just my name, and that's it. And the younger lot, they need to learn that, put minimal amount of data on these social media sites, because that's a time when they're trying to be safe right now. Otherwise, it's going to be too late for them. So whatever social media they are, even for that matter, I'll just tell you, all the younger lot, they're very kind of gaga over Snapchat, and the USP of Snapchat is that you only see the photograph once and it goes. But that's never the case. The data, the photograph once clicked is always there in their database and is always alive and surviving. And that's how they really work, right? So you really need to understand, just by, getting onto any app and just installing it and sharing all what you have, it's really going to be very counterproductive in due course of time. So avoid that.
That's a great insight. Amit, there's a question from the panelist based on this data. He says, if we erase all our data, is it possible to retrieve the information? So
Yes,
I presume
yes.
it is for the WhatsApp.
It is possible to retrieve all erased data, because especially when it is in the device, you can retrieve it from the device also. And if you are deleting anything on the cloud, it is not deleted. It is just delisted. So any delisting thing is not removed from that place. It is just may not be like available for you, but it is still available to different sort of AI engines, which those are actually built on that sort of data point. So nothing will be deleted permanently, which is there in Google's terms and conditions and privacy policy. It may be inaccessible to you or to law enforcement, but it will be there.
It will be. So I think I've answered, panelists have answered these questions. So I think more or less we've touched on everything that was possible, we could talk about today in the given amount of time that we had, a very sensitive topic. My last question to you, maybe in a one word, you could just answer both of you. Should we fear or should we panic, or should we?
I don't
Don't
think
panic.
there's a, yeah, please.
Don't panic.
Don't
Yeah,
panic.
don't panic,
Okay.
don't panic.
Don't panic.
Don't panic.
Okay.
There's no requirement to panic. Think judiciously. And like I told you, if you're cautious, don't put more data so that they strive on your data and become $1 trillion companies. Be safe.
Right. I think that's very reassuring to all of us. Very, very reassuring. I think all the people who are there listening out to you and on live show which is going on and on our Zoom session right now. I want to thank you all very much for having accepted.
I think
the
Amit's
request.
last. I think Amit was to tell the last liner.
He was. He was. Okay. So
Yes.
Amit, yeah, the last one from you.
Actually,
One
I
for
just
the
wanted
road.
to, yeah, I just wanted to give one learning, because I've been investigating lots of cases, and even if our data is out, we should know like how it can be misused against us, because most of these criminals, they approach us with that information, try to build trust with us. If suppose I know like Harpreet ji's school friend is this guy, and this guy is no more, I can create a Facebook profile on his name and can send a request and you will accept it, and then there is a pre-built trust with that person, which I can exploit, or I can use to exploit you. So all these kind of things keeps happening. But the learning is that whoever will exploit us, they will exploit 5 of our vulnerabilities, and which is already mentioned in our text, spiritual text: Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moh, Bhay, Ahankar. And these are the 5 things. If we can be a little conscious, I think we can protect us against these kind of attacks, because they will exploit one of this. They know through your social media to whom you are attached to whom you are ignorant, to whom you have a jealousy factor, to whom you will definitely respond. And these are the things, those are used to exploit you. whether your moha, whether your ahankar, because you will definitely click on that because you are little fame savvy or whatever, or your fear that you are too much worried about COVID or something. So all these things are happening, have been happening. If you would have noticed it during lockdown also, during COVID, cyber attack have been like increased multifolds. And that is something which is my learning to you. If we can make our human level consciousness little high, whoever is approaching us, if we can give a second thought to that invite, I think we can protect us.
That's a great learning. Yeah. With that, I think I must thank you from bottom of the heart that you took up the kind of request that I put across to you guys, and you didn't say no to me. Thank
Pleasure.
you, Colonel Saab, so much. Thank you, Amit. Thank you so much. Over to Harvinder.
Thank you.
These were eye opener actually. The kind of points that were put forth, superb. I mean, it's not just for the new generation to take care of their data and their personal life, but I think it's for every one of us how to be much more sensitive in the social media, what to say, what not to, and how to secure ourselves and our future as well. So this is really, thank you, Amitji, thank you, Colonel Sir, and thank you, Harpreetji, for moderating this. And above all, thank you to PCC for providing all of us this platform. And thank you for the members who joined in and made this event a success. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be with you, all of you, and sharing our thoughts and very pertinent and very thought-provoking things. We cannot do with our data being sold all across, right? So that's it. Thanks. It's a pleasure discussing, and thanks everyone.
Thank you so much, Punjabi Chamber of Commerce, and thanks for having me here. It was lovely interacting with you all, and I hope it was useful. Thanks for sharing panel with Colonel Sir, though we keep meeting during our CBI training programs. So
yeah,
thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a great day. Bye-bye. Bye.
Yeah.
Thank you.